Hello, just another short video from me. Um, I'm parked on, not unusual, parked on Epsom Downs. The view is really great. I mean, I would show you, I would turn the phone around and show you, but it doesn't come out, it doesn't do it justice because it's quite a long way away, but the view over London is fantastic. And it's probably a bit clearer because we're still, the area is still cleaner because there's been less vehicles going in London, so it's looking a bit shiny bright. And yeah, it's quite, yeah, as I say, it's quite sunny as well as being cloudy. Yeah, so it's really good. There's people playing golf, which can't quite see the point in myself, but horses for courses, I suppose. I guess it's exercise. Um, yeah, I thought I'm in my Tesla now, as you can see. I thought I'd talk about myself a bit. I probably usually do talk about myself, actually. Anyway, um, left school long time ago. I was only 15, no qualifications. So my life's ambition was to do anything to do with cars. So when I left school, I got a job as a mechanic, and in those days, it was just a cold garage, pretty messy, pretty unclean. It's all very basic. When you see garages today, they're all shiny bright, and use computers to plug the car in and tell you what's wrong with it. It's not so hands-on like it used to be. Because in those days you repaired a car and just kept it on the road, on and on and on. These days you go to a breaker's yard, there's cars looking shiny bright, looking really good condition, and they've been thrown away because it's cost more to repair them than it's worth. So cars are just disposed of. As I say, in the old days, cars were held on to, even though in those days, in my young days, cars used to go rusty. Nowadays, cars don't go rusty at all. They're galvanized, so they're pretty bulletproof, and they're galvanized, and they've got plastic panels as well. So it all looks good, and looks good for a long time. But we're in disposable periods, so people just throw them away because they, as I say, they're not worth repairing because their value is so diminished. Yeah, so anyway, so I left school at 15, went to a garage. It's cold and wet and dreary, but you didn't feel it was so cold and wet and dreary. For one thing, you're young, and for another thing, all the other garages are cold and wet and dreary. There's nothing to compare it with. But now, just life in general, I'm retired now, but with the aids of the internet, everybody sees what everyone else is doing, and everybody sees what you want to see. You want to see successful people, so you see successful people, think that's what I want to be. I want to be rich and successful. So kids are now leaving school, watching these drivel real life, supposedly TV programs, and that's the life they want. And people who are on these programs have become celebrities. Well, in my days, to be a celebrity, you had to be good at acting or singing or performing or something. But nowadays, you can be a celebrity for just being, I don't know, being a person. But you've hooked up, and kids think, I want to be like her, I want to be like him. And so they follow them like role models, thinking, I want to be like that person. And they end up living their life through that person. It's as if they are that person in their own fantasy world, which is very nice for the person whose life they're hooking up to, because they're making a fortune. Apparently, there's one young lady who was very rich, and she said she wanted to be a billionaire, and actually got people with no money, kids with no money, to give her money to make her a billionaire. And they did, and they made her a billionaire through the internet, and people giving her money because they perceived their life as being her life. They were living their life through her. Ultimately, as you get older, I don't know what this generation's going to be, because I'm going to be gone by then, but this generation's going to be quite a strange thing, because they're not going to live that life. Maybe they can live that life in their minds when they're young, but when they grow up, that life won't be there. It's a road to disappointment. In fact, some comedians said the worst thing you can tell kids is to give them hope, to give them ambition, because it'll all end up in a disappointment. And 99.999% of people will be disappointed. So that's just the way it's going now, really. And politics have just turned into a thing where some guy stands up, tells a lot of lies, and it's fine. In my day, if a politician were called out for the slightest indiscretion, they were sacked. Gosh, the king from 1950s, he wanted to marry an American divorcee, and he had to give up his chance of being the king because he wanted to marry Mrs. Simpson, which he did do, and he gave up his chance of being the king. Nowadays, Prince Charles is going to be king, and he's married a divorcee. So I don't know, things have changed. I mean, have they changed for the better, changed for the worst, or have we just lowered our standards in everything? If someone's on a news broadcaster sneezed or coughed, he's so apologetic, like it's the end of the world. Nowadays, what the hell? So standards have gone down, and the internet, which is a great thing, gosh, you'd be at home and find out everything about everywhere every minute of the day. It's like having your home filled with the biggest library in the world. Great times. It should be great times, but the internet's being abused, and people are abusing it, because on the internet a lie carries more weight than the truth, because a lie can be more attractive. And there's no greater sign of that than in America at the moment, when a lie is the way to go. And you get on the stage and tell absolute load of drivel, and the people want to hear this drivel, and they're clapping and cheering, well done, well done, we love that drivel. Nobody says all the great things you're going to do. Why didn't you do it before? No, I'm not going to say that, do we? So everyone laps up the lies, and if you had a totally honest politician anywhere in the world that spoke the absolute honesty, would do no good at all. They'd never get elected. Nobody wants to hear the truth. Nobody wants to hear what's right. Not now, anyway. Perhaps saying that, perhaps there's a exception, that Lady Prime Minister in New Zealand, she seems a very straight person. Quite refreshing, because she does her job and she seems to have compassion. Compassion is one thing that's definitely gone down the pan. There's no such thing as compassion anymore. Goodness me. That's compassion and empathy. That's one thing that could be taught in schools, empathy. People seem to have lost it. It used to be an automatic thing. I was just going to say, I think you get empathy as you get older. But, well, I might as well say his name, Donald Trump has no empathy whatsoever. But then he's got no intellect either, so maybe that's the thing. You can't have empathy if you haven't got intellect. So maybe that is it. Because to me, intellect is a thing where you can see both sides of an argument, and it does weaken your argument. But so if you've got no empathy, you've got a strong argument, because you can talk absolute drivel, but you're fixed on it. So you've got a strong argument of absolute rubbish. But as long as you stick to it, you're fine. I think it's like, I think he might have said something like, if you lie 3 times, it becomes the truth. And that's a strong thing. And it is a point that if you keep pushing things like Fred down the pub keeps talking about the flat earth or some drivel like that, but if he says it enough, on and on and on, because he is keener on that subject than the people he's talking to, so he's going on, and people are glazing over, and they agree with him in the end, because nobody can be bothered anymore. And that's what politics are like now. Nobody can be bothered to argue it anymore, because politics and politicians, they never say yes or no to any question. That's the thing to avoid. And people asking the questions, because like I said, run out of time for the TV program, and just say, okay, and just sort of accept it, just let it run by, instead of just saying, like a guy in this country used to do interviews, Paxman. Here, the politician came up with, he wouldn't say yes or no, wouldn't answer the question, and so he kept, when he's asked the question, he comes up with a load of waffle, and the Paxman said, you haven't answered the question, and he asked it over and over again, because he wouldn't let the politician go. That's how it should be. And in the end, the politician ripped off his microphone and walked out, because he didn't want to answer the question, because it would be detrimental. But now there's no ripping off the microphone, because nobody pushes anymore. Nobody pushes for an answer. And so politics and everything is getting more and more corrupt. And so everybody's getting more and more corrupt. You might tell the truth. No need to tell the truth. I mean, obviously there's limits, because if someone's fat, you don't say, oh, you're fat, because you don't upset people and it's rude. So people lie 24/7. But when you've got politicians standing up in front of everybody, influencing the world, lying, that's the limit. Well, as I say, you go down to and talk to Fred down the pub, he lies and talks crap, but who cares? He's talking to half a dozen people. But when you've got the same Fred leading the United States of America talking crap, well, that's just not acceptable. That's not the way to go. But when you've got so many millions of people accepting all that rubbish, the world's in trouble. So I think that's my moan for the day. I've done 13 minutes, so I'll call it a day, and I'll see you later. Bye.